The first presentation will be given by Mr. Willi Huesler, engineer and Swiss mobility expert. Presentation title: Swiss Pioneer Project S-Bahn in the Zurich region. What have been the benefits?
Working. Good morning to Mr. the Ambassador, Chamber of Commerce, and all the participants of this interesting conference, Polish-Swiss Innovation Day. I'll speak about the S-Bahn of Zurich, a success story. It is almost clear that the S-Bahn project has become a real success story. Please show the next slide. This picture shows you an old-fashioned railway infrastructure, and on the top you can see a train of the S-Bahn. For me, that is something like a symbol, because the S-Bahn maybe is not really an innovative project. If I would be asked, is the S-Bahn system of Zurich an innovative project, I had to answer yes and no, because we are working almost on old-fashioned infrastructures. But the way how this has been organized and it is done, that is really innovative. And I will try to show you why I am saying this. When I had friends from France in a visit, and I explained to them our S-Bahn system, and not just the S-Bahn, but the general public transport system, then they answered, well, that seems to be another Swiss watch, because it's everything working together. And I think that's the main information I want to give to you. Next sheet, please. And before, the one before, the map. Yes. The area of Zurich is composed by a compact city body with about 440,000 inhabitants, actually, but as well 480,000, even about 10% more jobs in this area. And around the city, there is a large suburban area. And you can imagine that the result is a fast growing commuter traffic. And this commuter traffic, because a lot of people are living out of town and moving every day to town. And this commuter traffic did grow. You can show the next sheet, please. We have here the figures. Maybe it's not easy to understand. On the top, the red shows the number of inhabitants of the city, of the central city, and you see it's almost on a certain level, actually the 440,000 inhabitants. But the blue shows the total number of the agglomeration. It's actually about 1,300,000. And this growing agglomeration and the growing number of jobs in town had, as a result, this problem of commuting. Down, you can see the number of passengers of the S-Bahn or of the railway moving into town. In the year 1990, before the S-Bahn system began to work, so I will say about 30 years ago, we had about 160,000 passengers traveling across the border of the town. I think it's really very impressionant that we did more than triple the number of passengers transported by train. And it is quite interesting that the traffic modeling, the simulation of the traffic, didn't expect such a growth. Maybe the traffic models did suspect about the growth of 30 or 40%, but we did 300 and more. Next sheet, please. I will fastly move through these arguments. Infrastructure, network, timetable, rolling stock, tram, bus, train, ticketing, marketing, and so on. But now I will do that point by point. Next sheet, please. At the beginning of the S-Bahn idea stood the elimination of a missing link. The map shows you the city of Zurich, and in red, a link of maybe 12 kilometers, most of them tunnels. But these 12 kilometers did change the quality of a existing railway network of about 320 kilometers. I think that has been really, from the point of view of infrastructure, has been a very important fact that you could, with a small investment, give much more value to a large system. The next sheet, please. I show you the S-Bahn network, how it works actually. And I think the characteristics are diameter lines, because before that has not been possible. We had a terminal station where all of the trains stopped and did move in and out, but the addition of this missing link did make it possible to have the diameter lines. Then we have a differentiation between long and short running lanes, what is maybe quite important. And then something that has been new, really new, 30 years ago, that these lines has been defined with numbers and identified by numbers. So quite another thinking, like a tramway system, so people could easily understand how it works. I show the next picture, please. Next slide. Yes, that is more clearly visible how it works, because, by the way, a second diameter tunnel has been built, so a second missing link has been built, and actually we have not just the east-west link, but as well the north-south link, and the system could be organized even much more efficient. Next link sheet, please. A timetable are strictly cadenced. I think that is one of the really important elements. All of these lines are running in a 30-minute frequency from 5 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the night. So it's about 20 or maybe 19 hours they are continuously running in this frequency. So everybody knows these trains are running and knows more or less how the timetable works. This is done by growing the trains in the peak, maybe trains of 200 and 300 meter longness, and in the low demand period, these are just single units of 100 meters, but strictly cadenced from morning early to late night. We have even in Friday and Sunday night these trains running through the night between 8 and 5 in the morning. I think this is a very important thing, that people can easily understand how this train system is working, because it's always working with the same timetables. Next sheet, please. The next element is the rolling stock. We have high capacity rolling stock. And I just said before, these are all double-decker trains. In peak hour, we have trains of 300 meters. And in these trains, 1,100 persons can sit down. If we would make one train of all these double-decker trains, this train would be 25 kilometers long. And the number of seats in this train would be 90,000, just seats. And it's very impressionant, 25-kilometer long train. And when I just tried to understand how many of these trains can move in town in the peak hour, morning peak hour, for example, so can we say that about 60,000 persons sitting in the morning peak can move in town? It is possible to move more people because someone may stand up, but when we take in consideration the 60,000 person per hour, and if we calculate what kind of motorway system would be necessary, then the result is that we would need 30 lanes of motorway just entering in town. In addition, 30 lanes of motorways to town, to Zurich, to have the same effect. Actually, we have maybe more or less 8 lanes of motorways moving into the city of Zurich. So you can imagine that is a very, very efficient system, because it would never be possible to build all these motorways. And for me, the most important thing is to have a nice town, to have a livable town, a good urban quality. And to build all these parking lots and all these motorways would be absolutely impossible, or would destroy the city. Next sheet, please. Well, the rolling stock, maybe some picture. The newest trains that has been built for the systems are produced in Switzerland from Stadler. You see on the bottom, these elements have about 150 meters, and they are added in the peak hour to build 2 trains, 2 units with a longness of 300 meters, and this really high capacity. Next slide, please. Another element, what is very crucial for such a system, bus, tram, bus, train, to coordinate all the systems. And I show you a picture of a small town, maybe 15 minutes away from Zurich, with the commuter train, with about 25,000 residents. And this town is called Wetzikon. And every 15 minutes, there are arriving 5 trains. There are arriving 6 buses, sometimes even more, and they make a rendezvous. So people can change from train to train, from train to bus, from bus to train, or from bus to bus. And this small town of 25,000 residents is an example how it works. And when my French colleagues said that's a Swiss watch, they did think about this very well integrated system, area covering service well integrated. Wetzikon is just one example. I could take a lot of other examples like this. Next sheet, please. Very important as well, marketing, because we have not just hardware, we have soft politics. And I think that has been done very well in the area of Zurich. I give you here some examples. It's written in German. For example, on the boat is written, I'm as well a train, and so on, just to symbolize this system working together, one hand in the other hand. And under that sheet, you can see a photo with a train, and it's written that the privileged in Zurich are the users of the train because they have the view to the lakeside view. Next sheet, please. For me, very crucial to make work such a public transport system based on the S-Bahn. You need a well organization, a well financement. And I remember what Doris Leuthard said, financement is very, very important. Maybe in Switzerland we did understand this. The Zurich Transport Authority, ZVV, is planning, directing, controlling, and is doing the marketing for all the systems. There are 39 different public transport companies, different carriers, and they are organized by and financed by the Transport Authority. And the Transport Authority is controlled by the canton and the communities, the so-called Verkehrsrat, Traffic Council. And I think that all this organizing, directing, and controlling is coming from one hand that is really crucial for the success. And when I show you the rate of the economics, these systems altogether, not just the trains, are subsidized by 31%. All the rest is income of the transport of the transport activities. So I think that even from that point of view, we have a success story. Next sheet, please. Next steps are taken in consideration in the strategic planning to double the frequency of the railway system, and this is studied and is planned on a long distance. So we'll have no more the 30 minutes frequency, but the 12 minutes frequency, and a lot of investment in stations, because there are generally not the lines but the stations that are the problem in such a system. So I think the idea is to go ahead and to double the number of passengers in a longer range, and that is planned by the Transport Authority. Next sheet, please. Yeah, that is my last sheet. It's a picture of the center of Zurich, and I think it is very important to say that there are no rivers without brooks. It is not possible to think just the train system, but you have not to forget the urban quality, the pedestrian, the cyclists, the trams, and the buses. And this makes the urban quality and makes the transport system attractive for everybody. Well, I thank you and hope that maybe some element that I presented could be as well taken in consideration in Poland. Thank you.
Thank you for such an interesting speech and accepting our invitation.